What's up, guys? This is Harrison from P1 Picks, and today we are talking about the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, aka we're racing in Baku. So let's get into it. Let's look at the picks. I think this was amazing qualifying session that we saw today, but I want to deep dive it. I want to see if there's still some value that we can find as we turn from qualifying into race day. All right, so as we look at our first bet today, I think Oscar Piastri is the one that I'd like to call out to win. I think this is also because a plus 225 is, I think, criminally underrated. The guy is starting from P2 in Baku, which we know is a great line to the inside. I also fundamentally don't believe in Ferrari, right? I think that they won Monza with a cheat. You know, they one stopped while everybody else two stopped, and McLaren was just so slow to respond to that one stop that, like, did they actually win the race, or did Ferrari kind of pull a joker? I don't think that joker is something that you can do back-to-back weeks. I also think the street has a wider variety and geometry of corners, and that means that the McLaren that seems to work well in low speed, medium speed, and high speed might have an edge on a Ferrari that might be really set up to do well in qualifying. I think this could be a little bit like what we saw in Imola, where, Ferrari was strong, but McLaren, it just has that next step. And that's what I'm kind of expecting here. I either think Oscar takes the lead from the start, or I think tries to go long, maybe tries to undercut. I think because they have the pace, they have more of an opportunity here to potentially beat Ferrari for the race win. And even though it's great, they've got two Ferraris there, they've got Sainz, they could potentially be a little bit of a buffer. I just don't really trust Sainz's pace. I think he's a good qualifier. I think Ferrari qualified well. They put the tires in the right window. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be fast tomorrow. So I really think this bet is also more about, I believe in McLaren a lot more than I believe in Ferrari. With that being said, I do have enough faith that, and this is, I think, one of these lock bets. I think when you see something that's a minus 145 here, that Piastri and Leclerc double podium, I love that. There's obviously the opportunity that somebody crashes out here, they have contact, but, Leclerc should be able to at least finish P2 or P3 at worst. I think we don't necessarily know how fast George and the Mercedes is going to be, so, I don't necessarily like calling this a 1-2, but I do think Leclerc and Piastri are favorites to at least share the podium together in a Baku race where there might be some carnage, right? We have Oliver Behrman, we have Frank Canapino, right? So we have drivers who haven't driven Baku a lot on a circuit where we know that's potentially prone to having a lot of safety cars. So one call out I'm going to make, a bet you're not going to see here, is if you see a safety car bet that you can hop on, I would highly recommend you do that, because there will be a safety car in Baku. You heard it here first. The other piece that I want to call out is I like Lewis top six. Normally we're only doing 3 bets, but I think we're going to do 4 today, largely because Lewis top six, he's been in a great run of form. If we look at the drivers that are starting in front of him, Max, Sergio, Carlos, I expect one of these guys to have an issue, right? Slow pit stop, going on with the wrong tire. If there's a safety car, they're in a safety car in the wrong time. I just think more than most likely Lewis is very motivated to beat George in points. And so I think Lewis has an extra motivation to move up. He doesn't like Max. They're going to race very, very hard through lap 1. And I just fundamentally don't believe that Sergio has the pace to keep Lewis behind him, even if he has a good qualifying session. Sergio still has the potential to be in the top 6, but I don't think he's going to finish ahead of Lewis tomorrow, even though he's great at the circuit. So lastly, I want to call out Albon. This is really kind of, I think, based on 2 things. I think Williams has done a little bit better. It seems like circuits that don't punish drag as much, circuits where engine horsepower really matter, Baku, Monza, they're there or thereabouts, which is, I think, really cool to see. I like Albon in the top 10. I know he's starting behind his rookie teammate Calipino, so I think that's, the team is going to engineer a way to get him into P9, and I think he's got enough pace to keep Yuki behind him. He's got enough pace to keep Oliver Behrman behind him. So, yeah, I like Albon top 10 here. I think that's a lock. I think if you're kind of asking me what bets I think are a lock here, and, I'm going to do maybe a little bit deeper of a dive, is I think Albon is a lock at minus 165. I also think Piastri and Leclerc locks at minus 145. I'm going to say that my Piastri to win and Lewis to top 6. Piastri to win is probably a 50-50. I think it's a little bit higher of a probability than what this is giving us. I also think Lewis top 6 is maybe a little bit better than the betting value, but this is probably also a 50-50, where I believe these are probably closer to 75, 80% chances that these happen. So if you're really looking to lock in and maybe just make some money, Leclerc, Piastri, podium double, Albon top 10 finish. I think if you're looking a little bit broader, hey, I want to have some guesses. I want to shoot for the moon a little bit. I like Piastri to win. I like Lewis top 6. Also, if you find a safety car bet, it's going to happen in Baku. We got rookie drivers. That's P1 picks, and follow in next week.